Hello, my name is Rebecca Garcia, and today I will be telling you the story of Teeny Tiny and the Witch Woman. Once upon a time, there lived a mother who had 3 children. The big one, the middle one, and Teeny Tiny. They really liked to play a lot, but their mother always told them every day, "You guys can play anywhere in the village, but do not go into the dark forest, because your granny says that the old witch woman lives there who eats up children and uses their bones for her fence." Normally they listen to her, but this one day the big one and the middle one were feeling really bored because they already went everywhere in the village. So they suggested that they went into the dark forest, but Teeny Tiny hesitated. They made fun of him and called him a chicken, but he knew that he wasn't a chicken, or so he thought, so he went with them. He was very cautious the whole time, but as the sun fell, the shadows grew. And by the time it was time for bedtime for them, they couldn't find their way out. Teeny Tiny climbed a tree and he looked. He saw a light. He told his brothers and they followed the light. When they got to the source of the light, it was not their village, but a house with a weird-looking fence. The big one and the middle one knocked at the door, and this old woman appeared. She said, "Come in, my children. You can call me Auntie." She was scary and to be honest, really ugly. But the big one and middle one were so excited to finally have shelter that they wanted to go in. But Teeny Tiny reminded them, "Remember about the witch woman?" They were sick of him now, and they told him, "You can stay out here and get eaten by the wolves, but we're going inside for food and shelter." So Teeny Tiny went inside. While they were eating, Teeny Tiny noticed something beside him that was very big and large. He asked, "Auntie, why do you have a cage?" She explained to them, "Oh, sometimes I find stray cats, and sometimes I find stray dogs, and I put them in there." He thought, "Do you find stray children too?" When it was time to go to bedtime, she sang them a lullaby, and she didn't have the best singing voice. Before he went to sleep, he took a look outside. The moon shined at the fence, and that's when it clicked. That fence was bones. It was made out of bones, big bones, small bones. So he didn't go to sleep. After a couple of minutes, the witch woman came upstairs and said, "Who is awake and who is asleep?" Teeny Tiny said, "The littlest one is awake." "What?" "Well, before I go to sleep, my mother cooks me an egg and I eat that." So she went downstairs, she cooked an egg, and when he ate them, she told him good night and went downstairs. But he still didn't go to sleep. Again, the witch woman came upstairs and said, "Who is awake and who is asleep?" Teeny Tiny responded, "The littlest one is awake." "What?" "Before I go to sleep, my mom gets me popcorn and raisins, and I eat it." She went downstairs. She got the popcorn and the raisins, and Teeny Tiny ate them. She told him good night and put him to sleep. After a while, she came back upstairs and said, "Who is awake and who is asleep?" He responded, "The littlest one is awake." "What?" Teeny Tiny explained to her that the popcorn and the raisins made him thirsty, and whenever he was thirsty, his mother would get him water with a sieve. So they went downstairs, and when she bent down to grab her sieve, a bar of soap fell out of her pocket. She said, "Oops, well, I better put my magic bar of soap somewhere safe." And she put them on the counter. She put the soap, a needle, and a knife there. When she went outside to the well, he woke up his brothers quickly and told them, "She is the witch woman. Now let's scram!" They ran for their lives. By this time, the witch woman realized you can't get water with a sieve, and she started chasing them. The Teeny Tiny grabbed the bar of soap that he took from the witch woman when she wasn't looking, and he thought, well, maybe if this isn't magic, she'll slip on it and slow her down, and he threw it at her. When it hit the ground in front of her, and it turned into 1,000,000 bubbles. She tried to go through it, and she tried to go over it. It was just too big, so she had to go around it, and the chase continued. He grabbed the needle out of his pocket, and he said, well, maybe this isn't magic, but maybe it'll poke her, and she'll slow down. So he threw it at her, and it landed right in front of her, and it transformed into 1,000,000 needles. She tried to go through them and over them, but they were just too big. And now she had needles poking her. So the chase continued. And he got out the knife. And he thought, well, maybe this isn't magic, but maybe it'll cut her foot and slow her down. So he threw it at her, and it landed right in front of her. And it made a giant crack in the earth. And it was just too big. She couldn't jump over it, or through it, or around it. So she gave up and went home. But Teeny Tiny and his brothers did not stop running until they were safe with their mother. And since then, none of them has ever ventured into the dark forest again. The end.
Hello, my name is Karen Lee, and I'm going to be telling the story of Johnny, I Want My Liver. Well, once upon a time, there was a boy named Johnny. Now, Johnny had some behavior issues, and no matter how much his mother tried or how much his mother punished him, he would not stop acting up. Not only did Johnny misbehave, he also liked some very strange things. Well, ate some very strange things, like liver. Johnny loved liver, and that was his favorite food. Sometimes Johnny would take raw liver to school and eat it in front of the other kids just to gross them out. Well, one day, surprisingly, Johnny was trying to behave himself, and his mother saw that. So his mother said, Johnny, take this $1 and go to the store and buy some liver and I'll cook it for dinner. Oh, Johnny was so excited. He took the $1 and he was going out to the store. But in between the store and his house, there was a baseball field. And the only thing that Johnny liked more than liver was baseball. And when he walked past there, all the other kids were yelling, Johnny, come play with us. Johnny, come pitch with us. I can't, Johnny said. I need to go to the store and buy some liver. Just one game, said the kids. All right, said Johnny, and he went over there, and he pitched once, and he pitched twice, and then he played a whole game, and then one game turned into 2 games, and then 3 games, and 4 games, and soon it was getting dark, and all the other mothers started calling their kids home from the baseball field, and that's when Johnny panicked. I forgot all about the liver. What am I supposed to do? He ran down to the store, but when he got there, the store was closed. Oh no, I really messed up. I was supposed to be good today. Well, beside this, across the street from the store, there was a graveyard. So Johnny got an idea. He walked over there slowly, making sure no one was looking. And when he got over there, he went to the freshest gravestone he could find, 2020. And he dug it up, got a liver out, put it in a little bag, and took it with him. Now when he got home, he plopped it on the kitchen counter. I'm not feeling well. I don't think I'll eat dinner today, said Johnny. And he tucked the dollar in his pocket and went up to his bedroom. Now, that night, everyone believed that Johnny was sick, since liver was his favorite food. But Johnny was feeling awfully guilty about what he did that night, so he just climbed up into bed and laid back. Well, Johnny was about to go to sleep when he heard something. It sounded like someone saying his name almost, like, Johnny, Johnny, I want my liver. I'm at your door. Well, Johnny said, maybe I'm just a little shaken up, you know? That's not something that happens every day. Johnny, I'm in your house. I want my liver. Okay, I'm really imagining things. So he tried to lay back and go back to sleep, but he kept on hearing sounds. And soon he heard, Johnny, I'm at the first step. I want my liver. Now, Johnny was starting to get really scared, but he tried to pass it off like it was nothing. Now, in Johnny's house, there was about 13 steps. He kept on hearing that voice until he said, Johnny, I'm on the 6th step. Johnny, I'm on the 10th step. Johnny, I'm on the last step. I want my liver. Now, Johnny was starting to think this voice was real. By this time, he was hiding in the closet, throwing clothes all over himself, trying to hide. He was just shaking with fear. Okay, this has to be real. I can't be dreaming. Soon he heard, Johnny, I'm at your door. I want my liver. Heard knock. Johnny, I'm in your room. I want my liver. Johnny was shaking. Maybe he'll just go away. I don't have the liver. Johnny just hid, all tightened up. Johnny, I can see you. I want my liver. Johnny was breathing hard. Oh my. Johnny, I'm beside you. I want my liver. And then, boom! From then on, Johnny was never seen again. And just like that, he was gone. And that's the story of Johnny, I Want My Liver. The end.
Hello, my name is Traphene Hickman, and I want to tell you a story. This story is as true as I could tell it. The old city hall was in Babes, where Babes is now. In that building was the water department, the police department, the fire department, the sheriff's department, and the library. That building had air conditioning, had water fountain, and restrooms. Now, back in those days, it was okay for the kids to ride their bicycles wherever they wanted to go. And they rode to the library a lot. They loved to come in there, and they loved to cool off when it was too hot. And they'd come in and get a drink of water and pester me. They loved pestering me, and I loved having them pester me. On Fridays in the summertime, we'd have story time, and they would fill the council room. They loved story time. Now, this story that I'm going to tell you today is about the railroad track that runs just a block away from there. You see, trains ran on that 4 times a day, and they always had a red caboose. It was the law to have a red caboose. You know, like little red caboose, chug, 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 little red. I know you know that nursery rhyme. Well, it was the law, and the brakeman was back there. The engineer was in the front of the train, driving it, of course. But when they would get to Cedar Hill, if the lumber yard had ordered a car full of lumber, they would stop, they would unhitch the train from the caboose, and whatever cars were behind that cart that had the lumber in it. And then they would back, the brakeman would turn the switch so that the train could back up on the auxiliary track, and it would leave that car of lumber on there, and the brakeman would unhitch it from the train, and the train would go on back to the track. It would back up then and connect with the cars behind it, and then it would go on. Now, that was the brakeman's responsibility to see that that all happened like that. Now, this one night, when they delivered the lumber, when they were through, the train was driving off, and there were men down there watching, and there was a body left down there. There was a body down there by the track, and they ran down there right quick. It was wearing overalls. It was the brakeman. They had left him. His head was cut off. They had left him. One of them men jumped in his pickup, and he ran to stop the train. He stopped it before Pleasant Run Road. They had to back that train up. They searched everywhere. They searched as far as they could either direction. They looked in between the cars to see if the head was in there. They thought maybe when they were connecting the train, maybe the brakeman stuck his head in there to look at something. They didn't know what happened, but he had his head severed off, and there was his body just laying down there. They searched. They didn't know what to do. But after a while, the men just took the body and put it in the caboose, and the train went off. We never knew what happened. Apparently the railroads just hushed it up when they got there with that dead body with no head, because it was never in the papers. You never saw anything about it. People kind of calmed down about it after a while, and then they started noticing. They started noticing this brakeman without a head walking up and down the tracks. He didn't bother anybody. He seemed nice enough. But when Halloween came and the kids in town had heard about him. They decided it'd be funny to go scare the ghost. So they went down there looking for him, and they teased him. They poked at him, and they teased him, and they ran from him and teased him, and came back and forth, and he got mad. He got so mad, he almost picked one up and threw him. Well, they got so frightened they ran off. But he has been mad ever since. And especially when it starts getting fall and leaves start dropping. Come Halloween, I wouldn't go down there. You might trick or treat up in town when things are all right. You can go to Sam's, you can go to Babe's, you can go over to the Methodist Church for the trunk and treats. But crossing that railroad track, I'd be real careful if I were you, because I really would not want to meet that headless brakeman, because now he has gotten mean and he wants to come after you.